Group Captain Sir Douglas Robert Stewart Bader became an RAF legend during World War II. He was a flying ace with 20 aerial victories, 4 shared victories and 6 probables. But what makes Bader's tally even more remarkable is that 8 years before the war, he lost both his legs in a crash. He was performing a low-level stunt when the tip of the left wing of his biplane scraped the ground. In hospital, he had one leg amputated above the knee and the other below his knee. The entry in his logbook stated, "Crashed, slow rolling near ground." Bad show. Bader confronted his injuries with grit and determination, and within 6 months of the accident, not only learned to walk unaided on artificial legs, he could also drive a car, dance, and play golf. The Royal Air Force Medical Board, however, said he was unfit to continue as a pilot, but Bader was adamant that he would fly again. As World War II loomed in Europe, and desperate to get into the fight, he pushed the Air Ministry for a posting in the RAF once again. He got his wish 8 weeks after war broke out. On the 27th of November 1939, and almost 8 years after his crash that took his legs, Bader flew solo. But even on his first solo flight since the crash, he couldn't resist turning his biplane upside down while flying at 600 feet. At 29 years old, he was older than most pilots, but he got his first taste of combat on the 1st of June 1940 while patrolling along the Dunkirk coast in support of Operation Dynamo, the evacuation of Dunkirk. His first victory was an Me-109 fighter. During the Battle of Britain, more victories rapidly followed. Just on one day, he claimed 5 kills. Between October 1940 and July 1941, Bader was awarded the Distinguished Service Order and Bar, and the Distinguished Flying Cross. Even though he was one of the RAF's top fighter pilots, there was much divided opinion about him. Having a reputation as a maverick from an early age, many fellow pilots admired his courage, leadership and determination. However, many thought him to be selfish, rude and arrogant, but everyone had to respect him as an effective fighter pilot. In August 1941, while over the French coast, his luck ran out after what was thought to be a mid-air collision. However, a 2007 book, Bader's Last Flight by Andy Saunders, suggests that Bader may have been a victim of friendly fire, shot down by one of his fellow RAF pilots. Regardless of the cause, with his fuselage and tail missing, he descended into a spin at around 400 miles per hour. As he tried to bail out, one artificial leg became trapped in the aircraft, and he only escaped when he pulled the ripcord on his parachute and the leg's retaining straps snapped, allowing him to parachute to safety. Not long after he became a prisoner of war, Bader came face to face with Adolf Galland, one of the most prominent German fighter aces of the war, with 705 combat missions and 104 kills. Galland ensured the famous Bader was treated with respect, and the two former foes became friends. In a remarkable piece of wartime diplomacy and respect, General Galland notified the RAF of Bader's missing right prosthetic leg, and with Hermann Goering's permission, the RAF was given safe passage under a flag of truce to parachute in a replacement prosthetic leg, in a mission called Operation Leg. The Germans were rather annoyed that after the leg was parachuted in, the bombers proceeded on to their bombing mission to bomb Gosnay Power Station. Making it his duty to upset and cause as much trouble for his captors as possible, after receiving his leg, Bader escaped from the hospital where he was recovering by knotting bedsheets together. Initially, the rope did not reach the ground, so he moved the bed of a comatose New Zealand pilot, Bill Russell. Russell's bed was then pushed to the window to act as an anchor. Unfortunately, he was quickly recaptured. While in another POW camp, the men dug a tunnel to use as an escape route. Bader would fill his legs with earth from the tunnel and would spread the soil over the camp by falling over and emptying his leg. Bader made so many escape attempts that it led to one German commandant threatening to take his legs away, and ultimately led to his transfer to the infamous Colditz Castle. He remained there until 1945, when the castle was liberated by the US First Army. On his release from the castle, and true to form, when Bader arrived in Paris, he requested a Spitfire so that he could rejoin the fighting before the war was over, but he was refused. In post-war life, after a time with the RAF, he was never fulfilled or comfortable with peacetime, and retired in 1946. In later years during the filming of Battle of Britain, both Bader and Adolf Galland were technical advisors for the movie, and on set could be seen discussing and demonstrating wartime tactics while holding models of a Spitfire and a Bf-109. Bader campaigned tirelessly for people with disabilities, and in June 1976, Bader was knighted for his services to disabled people. On the 5th of September 1982, after a dinner honouring the Marshal of the Royal Air Force, Sir Arthur Bomber Harris, Bader died of a heart attack while being driven through London on his way home. Among the many dignitaries and personalities at his funeral was Adolf Galland. Galland and Bader had shared a friendship that had spanned more than 42 years since their first meeting in France during World War II, when Bader was a POW. Although Galland was on a business trip to California, he made sure to attend the memorial service held for Bader. Peter Torrey wrote in his London Diary newspaper column, "Certainly Bader, had he been present, would have instantly recognised the stranger in the dark raincoat. Stomping over to his side, he would have banged him on the back and bellowed, 'Bloody good show! Glad you could come!'